Syazalina binti Sri dan nombor matrik saya ialah 162977.
Hi, my name is Wendo Azmira Nazha. I am from Forensic Science and my matrix ID is 160300.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Aina Nasuha from Nutrition course with matric number 164301.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Radha Syamil binti Rizal. My matric numbers is 163303 and I am from degree nursing.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hi, my name is Anna Zafira binti Fasri and my matrix number is 160921 and I am from course dietetic.
Hi, I'm Mandy Hui Ting from PPSK, a year 1 dietetic student.
Hello and Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Sharifah Amira Awatif. My matric number is 161694 and I'm from course dietetics.
My name is Rashika and I am from Medical Radiation Year 1.
Hi, so today I am going to present the human digestive system and I will highlight 5 parts only, which is the mouth, salivary glands, pharynx, esophagus and also stomachs. So the first one is mouth. Mouth is to choose food and mix it with saliva. And the second part is salivary glands. Salivary glands is to produce saliva, which contains a starch digesting enzyme called salivary amylase. And the third one is pharynx. Pharynx is to swallow the chewed food mixed with saliva called bolus. And the fourth one is esophagus. Esophagus is to move the bolus to the stomach. And the 5 parts is the stomach, which is the main important thing, which is it is mixed and transferred with gastric juice that contains acid and a protein digesting enzyme called pepsin creatine.
Liver. The liver is located in the upper right-hand portion of the abdominal cavity beneath the diaphragm and on top of the stomach. It is to produce bile, which helps carry away waste and break down fats in the small intestine during digestion. Next is pancreas. It is located across the back of the belly behind the stomach. It is to create natural juice called pancreatic enzymes to break down foods. This juice travels through the pancreas via ducts. Gallbladder, located under the liver, to stores and concentrates bile from the liver. The bile is then released into the first section of the small intestine, which is called the duodenum, where it helps your body to break down and absorb fats from food. Small intestine. It helps to further digest food coming from the stomach. It absorbs nutrients, which are vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates, fats and proteins, and also water from food so they can be used by the body. Large intestine. It is to absorb water and electrolytes and producing and absorbing vitamins and forming and propelling feces towards the rectum for elimination. Lastly, anus. The function is to detect rectal contents whether they are liquid, gas or solid, and then control when the stool should or shouldn't be excreted from your body.
I will tell about the digestion of carbohydrates. I will cover the digestion part in mouth to stomach. There are mechanical and chemical digestion in mouth. Firstly, the food is broken up in the mouth by chewing with teeth and then it mixed with saliva with the help of salivary glands. Saliva contains a digestive enzyme called amylase already begins breaking down the starch into shorter polysaccharides or maybe disaccharides, which is maltose. However, the food remains in the mouth only for a short time, so not more than 3 to 5% of all the eaten starch been properly hydrolyzed by the time the food is swallowed. Of food with saliva will be as ball-like, which known as bolus, is pushed into throat by the tongue and finally into esophagus, which propels the bolus to stomach. A series of muscular contraction within the esophagus called peristalsis delivers food to your stomach. Next, in the stomach, the digestion continues for as long as an hour until the food is mixed with the stomach's secretions. The activity of salivary amylase is blocked by the acid of gastric secretions. Salivary amylase inactive once the pH is below approximately 4 and no further carbohydrates, digestion occurs. As much as 30 to 40% starch has been hydrolyzed to maltose in the stomach.
Assalamualaikum and hi. Today I will continue the topic of digestion of carbohydrate in small intestine and large intestine. This is some overview that you can see. This is some key takeaway. As you know, my friend Aina already explained about the mouth and the stomach. So I will continue from stomach to the small intestine. As we know, the next step of carbohydrate digestion takes place in the duodenum. Recall that they climb from the stomach into the duodenum and mix with digestive secretion from the pancreas, liver and gallbladder. Pancreatic juice also contain amylase, which continue the breakdown of starch and glycogen into maltase, which is a disaccharide. The disaccharides are broken down into monosaccharide by enzyme called maltase, sucrase, and lactase, which are also present in the brush border of the small intestine wall. Maltase break down maltose into glucose, and other disaccharides such as sucrose and lactose are broken down by sucrase and lactase respectively. And sucrase break down sucrose into glucose and fructose, and lactase break down lactose to glucose and galactose. The monosaccharide, which is a glucose, those produced are absorbed and then can be used in metabolic pathway to harness energy. The monosaccharide are transported across the intestinal epithelium into the bloodstream to be transported to the different sites in the body. Once they are absorbed, they are processed even more by the liver and stored as a glycogen. And the hormone insulin is released from the pancreas and allow the glucose to be used as energy. This is a diagram that I put to help you to understand. This is some explanation about maintaining blood glucose level in the pancreas and liver. And this is some diagram that I put to help you to understand about this topic. And the last one is leftover carbohydrate, which will go to the large intestine. Almost all of the carbohydrate except for dietary fiber and resistant starch are efficiently digested and absorbed in the body. Anything that's left over after this digestive process goes to the colon, and it's then broken down by intestinal bacteria. Fiber is contained in many carbohydrates and cannot be digested by the body, and it reaches the colon and is then eliminated with your stool. That's all from me. Bye bye. Thank you.
It is my turn to explain the process of digestion of protein. How does our body digest and absorb all the protein molecules we get from the food that we eat? First of all, I would like to talk a little bit regarding protein. Proteins are large molecules that are made of amino acids. The amino acids are linked together by peptide bonds to form a polypeptide chain. Now, since we already cover and know what protein is, I'm going to talk about the digestion of protein. There are two main places where protein digestion occurs, which is the stomach and small intestine. For example, a person was eating food that contain proteins such as chicken or meat. As we can see from this video, the process of digestion begins from the mouth. The chewing process will initiate the mechanical breakdown of protein to occur. Once the protein molecules are swallowed, it will enter the stomach. In the stomach, the chemical digestion of proteins started to take place. Therefore, the stomach will secrete enzyme pepsinogen. Pepsinogen is known as an inactive enzyme. Hydrochloric acid produced inside the stomach causes a low pH level. This actually activates pepsinogen to pepsin. It also denatures the protein or changes the shapes of protein, causing them to unfold. Pepsin breaks down the protein into smaller molecules. The next one is the food, or we can also call it chyme. Chyme will then enter the small intestine from the stomach.
So what happens after the chyme leaves the stomach? It first enters the first section of the small intestine called the duodenum. The pancreas makes digestive enzymes such as trypsin, chymotrypsin, and carboxy polypeptidase and sends them to the duodenum through ducts, whereas the liver makes bile, which is an alkaline secretion, and stores them in the gallbladder. Acidic chyme is then mixed and blended with the alkaline secretions. Peristalsis reaction pushes the mixture forward in the small intestine for further digestion. At the end of digestion, propulsive peristalsis drives the contents into the large intestine. In the large intestine, absorption of water occurs, and waste in the form of liquid is changed into more solid form of stool. Then, peristalsis moves the stool to the rectum and the anus where egestion occurs. So that's it for the digestion of protein. Thank you.
Hello everyone, so today we will learn about the digestion of fat, or also known as triglyceride. What is triglyceride? Triglyceride consists of glycerol unit, fatty acids, and also is a non-polar water fluorine. So that means it will not dissolve when it's added into the water. So this is the example of food that high amount of fat, such as tuna, egg, avocados, and so on. So firstly, when you take a bite of your food, your mouth starts to chew, that begins to mechanically break down the food into smaller particles, and also adding saliva into the mixture, which can moisten our food and get ready to travel down to esophagus and into the stomach. There is a little bit of enzymatic digestion of triglyceride happen in the stomach, called lingual lipase, produced by cell on the tongue that break down triglyceride by chewing individual fatty acid from glycerol. Next, the food that mixed with saliva swallow into the esophagus and into the stomach.
To the next one, I am Rashika. The highly acidic environment of the stomach activates the lingual lipase enzymes, which are also joined by the gastric lipase, which are enzymes released by the Schiff cells in the stomach. These enzymes begin the digestion of the fat molecule by breaking some of them into the diglycerides and fatty acids. Since the fat molecules are hydrophobic, they enter into the small intestine as the large fats. So the body must first break down the largest masses into the small droplets called emulsification. They are broken down into small segments by the bile salts, and phospholipase, which are part of the bile, is released by the gallbladder into the small intestines. Bile salts and phospholipase has a hydrophilic region and hydrophobic region. So the hydrophobic region of the bile salts position themselves around the hydrophobic fat, as you can see here, forming what we call it emulsions droplet. Now pancreatic lipase, which is an enzyme released by the pancreas into the small intestine, has greater access to the fat and can digest them into mainly monoglycerides and free fatty acids. This then associates with the bile salts and the phospholipids to form micelles, which are smaller than the emulsions droplet. Basically, the micelles transport the monoglycerides and fatty acid to membrane of the enterocyte cells of the small intestine, where they absorb across the cell's membrane into the cells inside the enterocyte cells. The fatty acid reattach with the monoglycerides to form triglyceride. Triglyceride, along with other lipids, wrap around protein to form lipoprotein called chylomicron. The chylomicron is too light to enter the blood capillary wall, so they enter the lacteal, which are lymph capillaries. The chylomicron are transported through lipatic vessels and enter the blood, where they deliver to the liver, fat tissue, muscle tissue, and other tissue as well, where they can be stored or used by the cells.